to 7. He looked to the heavens when he heard the engines hum. A sky full of planes and each one with a bomb. And they're gonna wanna drop them.
Well, hello and welcome to the latest edition of Islands at War. This is Nick Lahire. No Keith this week. We've got a bit of a special. I was privileged to be invited to go and speak to a lady called Olive Hamon, who is 95 years young. Her daughter, Ali, also came along for the chat. Olive talks about her time both as an evacuee in England, but also Olive and Ali talk about some of the family stories about Olive's parents who were here during the occupation in Guernsey and some of the things that they went through, things that they witnessed. And I hope you're really going to enjoy this chat. There will be perhaps a little bit of background noise. Hopefully I'll manage to edit it out. It was a really, really hot day here in Guernsey. It was about 30 degrees. And quite rightly, Olive needed the air conditioning on so that she wasn't getting too hot. I mean, I was melting as well. So I was very grateful for the air conditioning. So hopefully you're going to enjoy this chat, reminiscing about the occupation.
We were evacuated with the Qatar school, and we went to England on the Antonia to Weymouth. When we got to Weymouth, we stayed the night in a hostel, and then we were evacuated. My brother went to Mobley. My two sisters came with me, but we were all indifferent. We weren't together at all.
So you were about 9 or 10?
Yeah, and then my sister and brother were younger. My sister Melba was a year older than me. Bill was 2 years younger than me. And then Muriel was younger than that again. While we were billeted I was billeted then, in Morbiton, she called her Auntie Vera. We had a bombing raid. There was a train going through with all our troops from Dunkirk, and the Germans were bombing it. We had 2 incendiaries and an incendiary bomb. They didn't hit it, thank goodness. Anyway, going back to Guernsey, we lived at the King George playing fields. Dad was the groundsman. When the Germans arrived, they went to Mum and Dad in our bungalow, which Dad had just built by the playing fields, because he was groundsman. And they ordered them out. And Dad said, no, I've just built this bungalow and it's mine. So the Gestapo gave them an offer. We'll sleep in the back of your bungalow, and you can sleep at the front of the bungalow. Which Dad had to agree, unfortunately.
I've heard of that in a number of cases, actually, where people stood their ground and said, no, I'm not moving out, and they've come to some sort of arrangement like that, yes.
And so they built a camp in the Blankers, a lot of huts, and the Germans built them. Then they brought slave workers from the continent over to live in those tents, to lay the vines and do whatever they wanted them to do. Mum used to hear them cries out. It was terrible to me, it does. We had a bulldog, which they cursed, naturally, British bulldog. And he told Mum, he said, you said that bulldog won't last long. So what Mum did, Mum let her out. And he came back with a piece of the German's trousers.
I have read some absolutely horrible accounts of, one springs to mind where a German got drunk in St. Peterport, but near the top of Lefevre Street, and was taking pot shots at somebody's dog in the street. It's absolutely...
They killed all the dogs, and then they killed all the horses for horse meat. Because Mum said there was a lovely horse that was going up the road, and she turned to Dad, that won't be here tomorrow. They killed all the horses as well.
Yeah, when they got desperate, yeah.
And as I said, Mum either side of us, I don't know if you know the Kings.
I do, yes.
And there's 2 houses either side.
Yeah.
They were brothels.
Oh, right.
The Germans, the gendarmes lived in those 2 houses, and they shipped young girls over.
Yeah, from
The
France.
brothels.
Yeah, yeah.
There was one young French girl that got very friendly with Mum. And she went in to see Mum one morning and she said, "Can you help me?" So my Mum said, "What is it then?" She said, "I'm pregnant and I want to get rid of it." Mum said, "I can't help you, my love." She said, "I'm a nurse, but not with medication."
Mm.
So she said, "I'm going to commit suicide then." So she said, "But I want you to promise me something." So Mum said, "What's that?" He said, "I'm going to give you Mum's address and I would like you to see to my burial so that when the war is over, Mum can come and fetch my body." And Mum did that. They came over and fetched it.
Wow.
I thought that was marvellous. Very new. Anyway, going back to the actual air raid, my Uncle Cliff was killed by the clock with a bullet through his helmet.
Oh, gosh.
He was attending a Mr. Robin who had a bullet in his leg. And she also picked up 3 cousins which had been burnt underneath their lorries where they had sheltered from the bombs. Of course, they hit all the lorries, didn't they?
Yes, they did, unfortunately. I'm very lucky that my great-grandfather had got out of his lorry and had gone into what is now the White Rock Cafe and was talking to somebody in there, and they hid under a
Mum's 3
table.
cousins went under the lorry.
Yeah, a lot of them, it's just natural reaction, I guess.
Mum always said she
Take
lost
cover.
her souls over Hitler.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was the upend. She also was on duty in the ambulance, and they were going down, I think it's St. James Street, that street going down, and the blast blew the back of the ambulance door out. They lost the ambulance door came.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she had that experience. She also helped to evacuate all the English people with their families from the Gaumont cinema. And there was one German there in particular who hated Mum because he turned around and told his poor old lady, "Come on, get a move on, get a move on." Mum said, "Leave her alone. She'll go as she wants to." I said, Mum said, "Best German is dead." Anyway, he made Mum go down the White Walk with all the English people, and Mum also went on board, which she shouldn't have done.
No.
And he tried to let the boat go with Mum on it, but Mum got off anyway.
Tried to trick her into being shipped off to Germany.
So Mum got away. We got away, but she was a marvellous woman, my Mum. She really, really was. I'm just trying to think of some other stories.
Well, you very kindly showed me the certificate that you got up on the wall for your mum for her service during 1939 to 1945.
I do treasure that.
Yeah. I'd imagine there aren't very many of those in existence. Not many people received those.
No, she was a marvellous lady, my Mum.
Nan told me the story of the horse. Used to come to her every single morning, put his head through the window to feed him breakfast. And then she told me that a couple of days, like a day, she hadn't seen him. And then she was sat down having her tea one day. What are you eating? It's a horse. And she was like, she was sick.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, do you remember that, Mum?
I do remember it, Alison. Yes, now I do. Now you've mentioned it.
Because she was like really sick because she didn't like a horse. That's why I always had to read eating.
Yeah.
Like horses, but.
Yeah.
And the other thing I remember saying, that dog that bit the German's bottom, she had to put her own dog down herself.
Well, she had to because they did that.
Yes, because they would have killed it otherwise.
Yeah.
And I'm like saying, no, that's what you said.
Well, it was a British bulldog, eh?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they hated the British.
That. Yeah, well, she did it. She didn't want them to do it, so she did it her way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is heartbreaking for her because Nan loved her bulldogs and she bred them. So.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But they treated those young girls terrible, Mum said.
Yes, I've seen some accounts of how they were treated, and it's absolutely horrific, absolutely awful.
It makes me sad to think what Mum went through.
That's totally understandable.
The reason Mum couldn't go away to follow us was my 90-year-old grandpa was living with them. And of course they couldn't leave him, could they?
No.
And yet he died within a couple of months.
Oh, dear. Yes. I mean, that was quite a common situation where somebody had to stay because there was an elderly relative that was here.
Yeah.
And someone had to stay behind to look after them because they either couldn't travel to England or didn't want to. So
They had a wireless for us through the wall.
yes,
In the,
they kept one hidden, did they?
what do you call them? In the wall?
Radiogram? Not radiogram,
What do they call these square things on the wall? Where they kept it? Can't think of the name of it now.
Some sort of alcove or something, or a cupboard, or
But they had a wireless anyway all through the wall. And I mean, Red Cross letters we used to... I mean, we had very few Red Cross letters. And we had to write on those letters what they wanted us to do.
yeah,
We were told 25 words only, and we had to put on those letters. We didn't have to mention anything they didn't want us to. Went through the British Red Cross.
yes, yeah,
But I got all my Red Cross letters.
yeah. I know from talking to a few people and from some of the ones that I've seen, people did come up with ingenious little codes for how to say things in some of the messages, didn't they? Which wouldn't necessarily have been understood by the Germans.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were very artful in some ways, you know.
Yeah. One that springs to mind was a gentleman who wrote to his wife in England, and he said, Robert, Arthur and Francis have been to visit, meaning the RAF had been and bombed the harbour. It was around the time they bombed the harbour.
They made a mess of that harbour.
Yeah, yeah.
But Uncle Cliff's helmet is still at the police station, although I don't know if his son's got it now, because Peter died last year. He was on the lifeboat, Peter. Peter Bullivan. Mr. Nicole had it in his leg. But as I said, I went to Liberation Day this year, dance, and the people that were sat at the table, they knew nothing at all about the occupation.
Yeah?
Nothing at all. It was relatives that had been here during the occupation.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I guess there aren't many people left now that...
No, I don't think so. No, well, there's not many of us left.
No.
You know, I mean, as I say, I'm going to be 96.
Yeah. I spoke to a lady last year, Melva Stacey, and she's a similar age to you, and she only ended up not being evacuated because her dad took her down to the boat and something went wrong, and they said, the boat's not going to go today. You'll have to be back here at 5 o'clock in the morning. And he took her home and he went, blow that. I'm not getting up that early in the morning to walk to town. She ended up staying here rather than being evacuated. But she went on she worked in the Red Cross office for a little while here. And then she went to work at the country hospital, what's often referred to nowadays as the Cattel Hospital.
Yes. Well, as I said, Mum was more or less on duty all the time. As she said, they were on a 24 alert all the time, the nurses, because there was a dispatch rider that had a crash at Coburg, and the ambulance went to pick him up and were seen to him. And then the German or gendarme arrived and said, don't worry about him, where's his papers?
Oh, dear.
Didn't care about him.
No.
It's the papers he was carrying. She said they didn't care about a human at all. Not at all, she said. No thought for the human race.
Yeah.
All Mum's to do the whole.
So was your mum based at one of the hospitals here, or?
No, she was based at home.
Home. Okay.
At home. And, I mean, when we came home after the war, there was all these lorries along in front of the bungalow, and they were all had so many Germans on them, and they were mining the beaches.
That's right, because they used the KG5 playing fields as the huts there as a prisoner of war camp.
It was a camp, and slaves. Mum said they were cruelly treated.
Yeah.
They turned it into, Dad used to be groundsman. It was a lovely thing.
Yeah, he must have had a heck of a job putting it back to how it was after the war.
Yeah. We were living in the wrong house in the wrong time, really.
Yeah.
But there we are.
But I know I've read reports fairly early on in the occupation that there was still things like cricket being played at the KG5 until the Germans took the whole thing over, because there's some quite quite detailed reports of cricket matches and things like that. I suppose they had very little other news.
Well, I've never heard of that
to put
from
in the
Mum and
paper.
Dad. Never.
Yeah. It was very early on. It was the
All I ever
first
heard
couple
from
of
Mum
months.
and Dad was the slaves
Yeah.
cruelly treated, the girls either side. And Mum said there were some lovely girls there. And I used to go crying to her, you know.
It must have been heartbreaking for her to see.
But they're dragged from their families and they're just used and used and used. It's not fair. And Mum said that first girl, she was such a lovely girl.
A terrible, terrible story.
No, my mum was a gem.
So what was life like for you evacuated to the
Very hard.
to the UK?
It was very hard for the special reason that we were all separated. I think if we were well treated, please don't get me wrong. We couldn't have been better treated than what we were. But not being actually together. I mean, I didn't see my brother for 2.5 years
Wow.
because he was in Mobley and we were down in Warburton. And it was heartbreaking and we couldn't see us, you know.
That made life very difficult, I imagine, when you came back to the island.
Mum and Dad didn't know us.
Absolutely.
They walked straight past us. The only reason that they recognised us, my brother actually recognised Melba. Otherwise, they walked straight past us.
Wow.
But we'd grown up. We were teenagers when we came home.
Again, people I've spoken to over the years, you know, some of them, they had to, there's one farmer I can think of who basically had to bribe his late teenage son to stay in Guernsey when he came back.
It was very...
Because he'd been in a big city and seen what life was like there compared to a little old Guernsey, and you know,
yeah, but they
had got a
a
taste
lot,
for
a
that.
lot of them couldn't get back home with their parents when they got back. I mean, my eldest sister couldn't. Her and my dad, because my dad would not let us have been grown up. Dad treated us like children.
Yeah.
And my sister, she finished up going to Guernsey. Dad was so strict with us, so strict. I mean, I used to work at a telephone exchange. He'd take me there and come and fetch me. He was, well, I can understand it. Please don't get me wrong. I can understand it. He'd lost all those years of his children.
Yeah.
But he was so strict. He was very, very hard.
Making up for lost time, I guess.
Yeah, but the thing is, he died. Well, what happened was, in the end, when I was old enough, I joined the RAF, stopped living in Germany.
Oh, yeah.
I joined the RAF, and I was in there 6 weeks, and he died 49 years of age.
Oh, dear. It wasn't uncommon, was it, that, you know, people had suffered so much during the course of the occupation that undoubtedly it had impacts on their health and
Well, he wasn't a well man. He was he had epileptic fits, and that's what he died in, because he was wounded. And when he was in the Navy, he was wounded, and he had I think it's a glass plate in
oh,
or
okay,
something.
yeah.
And he used to have epileptic fits, and he died in epileptic fits. But he was, as I said, Melba went to Wales, and I joined the RAF. And I was 6 weeks. I was on his funeral.
And what did you do when you were in the RAF?
Well, my mum turned around to me then, and she said, Olive, if you want to stay in the RAF, please do. Otherwise, do you need me, Mum? She said, you stay in the RAF and get your life in. So I stayed in for nearly 5 years. Went to Germany, Austria. I had a very, very, I enjoyed the RAF, I mustn't say.
It must have been a bit strange having been evacuated because of the occupation and then finding yourself in the RAF in Germany and Austria.
Yeah, it was. And the hospital where I was evacuated to in Germany, where I was stationed, is a swastika.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the actual hospital, the way it had been built, it was
it laid out as a swastika.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, you were in Mintown, Germany. I was there for 2 years.
So you were a nurse as well?
Pardon?
Were you a nurse as well then?
No, I was a telephonist.
Oh, telephonist. Oh.
I was telegraphs and all that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
We used to take send telegrams and all that sort of thing. I've spent my 21st in Germany. But, I've had quite a life really since. Because I married Tony. 69 years we've been married.
That's a long time.
He's a marvellous man. But I go and see him. I was singing this afternoon. I go and see him in my heart. Because you can't walk, can't stand up, you can't talk. It's very, very hard.
Yes, I can imagine. I can imagine.
It is. He's a wonderful man. My son and others and then too.
Got some stories of dad from the war, but I think they're Jersey, wasn't it?
He's a Jersey man, yeah. He was in Jersey with occupation. And he told us, Tony, that the Germans in Jersey, they used to go to the cookhouse when there was no shore dams around, and the cooks used to give them some food. But he said as soon as they heard the word shore dam, they ran like hell, he said.
I can imagine.
Yeah, but he said on the whole, in Jersey, the children were treated quite well, really, Yeah, he was in Jersey with the occupation. So he went really through quite a bit himself, really.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But he never spoke. I mean,
Yeah.
some people can't. You see, with my mum was very open with all of us when we came home. She sort of told us all these different stories and that. And she said she had one lovely dinner because they used to have all their meals next door in the houses. But this certain day, I think there was some big knob coming through somewhere, and they cooked a lovely dinner in Mum's kitchen and everything else. And then they were called out, so they went. So Mum said that was the best dinner they had.
Oh, well, that makes up for the
that.
inconvenience a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, she said they were called out, so they didn't get it, but she's Mum and Dad, and they invited a couple of neighbours in. That was one laugh I can enjoy. You see, different things come back to me.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that I've got to think about before I can remember.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing that does come across is the spirit of the Guernsey folk and the Jersey folk where, they
were very brave.
Whilst they were going through an absolutely horrible time, they still found ways to amuse themselves or have a little bit of a laugh.
Well, they had a laugh that.
Yeah. I mean, you had to really, didn't you? Otherwise it'd be, frankly, very, very depressing. But just some of the stories. But going back to what you said about, some people not talking about it, very common. I knew people for a long, long time who just didn't want to talk about it. Unfortunately, I never got to meet my great-grandparents who were here during the occupation. My great-uncle was here, and I did know him. He died in 1989, I think it was. But even he didn't really talk about it very much. And to be honest, I found out more at his funeral, the wake, from talking to some of his friends, than I'd found out in all the time that I'd known him, which was, 20-odd years,
Well, Mum's sister, Auntie Elsie, she was matron at Montage Hospital in Berkshire, and that was the hospital where they received the majority of them, not the majority, but a lot of the wounded soldiers from Dunkirk. And it was the headlines of the News of the World. She committed suicide.
Oh, good grief, yeah.
They found her in the middle of a cornfield with her sheet.
Oh, dear.
That was Mum's sister, but she was the matron. But they said in the inquest, they reckon it got too much.
Yeah,
that was something else beyond the headlines of the News of the World.
Yeah. That must have been.
But there's different little things that come to memory. And I'm more than honest, think of more things when you've gone, but it depresses me really a lot about what Mum and Dad went through, because they were two wonderful people. They really were. But we didn't have much pleasure, did we, with them? Not with Dad, anyway. I'm with Mum. Yes, I had Mum living with me for a while, but she finished up in a home because she got the better of her. They said it was the effects of what had happened in the past.
Given what her role was, being a nurse, she must have found it particularly distressing when she had people that she was trying to treat that if only she had the right medicines to be able to treat them, but they just weren't available. And
a lot of people actually admire her with that French girl because Mum told us so many times she was such a lovely girl, mean, but she didn't want to live. She said, Mum couldn't help her. I mean, she couldn't get medicines.
no,
She was only a nurse.
and even, just getting medicines full stop was just so very difficult.
Tis. But no, she was a wonderful lady. Anne was a wonderful lady, wasn't she? She was very straight. I must tell you this because this is one of the biggest laughs we had. As I said, Mum was very straight. We lived in Lowell, as I told you. And Mum sold it because she couldn't stay there anymore with the members.
Yeah, understandable.
Because Dad had died. And
Yeah.
we went to live in Mount Royal. Anyway, one of the neighbours that we had in the cattle, Mrs. Clancy, she was a nosy lady, but she was nice. She was a nosy lady, though. And she stopped Mum in the market and she said to Mum, Mrs. Osier. She said, I haven't seen you for a long, long time. Where do you live? So Mum said to her, do I owe you any money? She said, no, well, you don't want my address, do you? And that was Mum. But that was her.
Yeah. So did they manage to stay living in the bungalow the whole occupation?
They did stay in the bungalow.
They were quite lucky then because so many
It was
people
very,
were
very hard. But Dad wouldn't budge.
Yeah.
I think Mum might have done, but Dad had toiled. He'd been built that bungalow.
Good old stubborn Gurn.
Oh, he was an Osier to a T, he was. And, the Osier brothers were relations to us too. They were history, weren't they? The Osier brothers.
Mm-hmm.
They were, and I was like, I don't know if they were here. I think they were here during the occupation. I don't know. They're all gone now, in here. But there's nobody of our family left now. I've got no sisters, no brothers, they all go. I don't know of anybody that I knew at school. I think they've all gone now.
No, there's not. With the passing of time, there's not that many people left anymore.
Well, it's a long time, isn't it? 90 years, sure.
Yes, yeah.
I'm 96 in October. Well, if I reach that far. But with this heat, I don't know.
It is very warm today, so thank
And
you.
it's going to be warmer tomorrow.
Oh, God.
Yeah, on the news to the 10th.
Yeah, oh, dear. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciated it.
Hope I haven't been too boring.
No, it's been really good. I look forward to sharing it with our listeners. But thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you.
No, it's my absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. Thanks so much again to Olive and Ali for having a chat with me about Olive's experiences and their family's experiences during the occupation. I'm sure you will agree it was really, really interesting. Coming up next week, we'll be back in the studio, Keith and myself. We'll be talking about December 1942, what was going on. We've got some interesting things about some of the OT workers who were here in Guernsey, and also what Christmas 1942 was like. Not as good as Christmas 1941, as we'll find out when you get to listen to that show. There was a bit of an increase in supplies, but it was pretty grim other than that. We'll also be looking at charcoal burning buses that were used to get around the island, and a bit of a problem with a minefield, as well as a lot of other things that were going on around the Channel Islands in December 1942. So please do join us in a week's time for that. That will be out on Monday the 28th of July. Thanks for now.
He looked to the heavens when he heard the engines hum. A sky full of planes and each one with a bomb. And they're gonna wanna drop them on someone. It's 5 to 7.